Hi, I'm Brother Eric Franks, and today I'm going to teach you about the incident command system for the Latter-day Saints. The reason that I've developed this program is because I've been back at the National Fire Academy and the Emergency Management Institute, back at the FEMA National Training Center, and while I was back there, they talked about the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and how they're one of those entities that you can use to help you in a disaster. At that point, I started to think, we need to know more about the incident command system. I've used the incident command system for 20 years in the fire service. I use it daily as a captain in a fire station and as a acting battalion chief when I'm out in the field running a battalion in Colorado. Real quickly, the incident command system was something that was developed in the early 70s. And what it was developed for is major fires that were happening in California. And they would have all these resources show up, and they would have fire departments from all over show up, and they would start fighting fire. And they'd pick a piece of the fire and they would fight it. And while they were fighting the fire in one area, a worse fire was happening somewhere else. So they developed something called Fire Scope, or fire resources in Southern California, that they used to fight fires, and they got everybody organized and put together. So in the fire service, it has been around for 20 years. And it just recently was made, or was turned into what's called the National Incident Management System. After 9/11, New York, for the first time in history, needed to know how to run a huge situation or a huge incident. For the first time in history, the resources were overwhelmed. So they had to actually call in wildland firefighting teams, the same type of teams that were developed out of Fire Scope or out of California. So I have simplified it. This is a simple class. This is a beginning class. You can spend weeks on training on this. This is a simple class, and I build it so that we can teach it to Latter-day Saints, and we can be familiar with it in case we are used in an incident. So quickly, what it is: the incident command system. In every incident command, you have what's called simply the incident commander. Call that the IC. While you're on a scene or when you're doing something, you will hear the IC. What did the IC say? Where's the IC? That's the incident commander. The incident commander has a staff. Very simple way to remember that is incident commander has a command staff. So in this command staff, very self-explanatory, you have the public information officer. Public information officer, self-explanatory. They inform the public of what's going on. You need to evacuate this area. Shelters are located in this area. The fire is going this way. The weather is coming this way. Or these are the things that you need to survive this incident. The next person is your liaison. Liaison is what the incident commander uses to talk to other entities. He's running a fire, or he's running a disaster, or even he's running an event. This can be used for an event. And he needs to talk to another agency or another group of people, or say the power and lighting company. This is who he has that goes and talks to them. Instead of him doing it, he has the liaison officer. The last member of the command staff is the safety officer. The safety officer, or the health and safety officer, takes care of all the many things that are related to safety. He goes around the camp, he goes around the situation, and he determines to make people safe. So that's the command staff. We'll take those off for a minute as I write some other things. Now, here's the other structure here. And the way to remember what's called the general staff. You have the command staff, PIO, liaison, safety officer. Now with the command staff, they report directly to the incident commander. The general staff also reports directly to the incident commander. All right? The way that you remember this, and a lot of people, did you remember FLOP? Or IFLOP. Stands for Finance, Logistics, Operations, Planning. And the I either can mean the incident commander, or in some incidents, you need an intel or investigations division. So we'll go with what usually the most important or the one that takes the most resources, and that's going to be, can you see that okay? Operations. Operations is the part that does most of the field work and has most of the resources. If there's a fire, this is the group that is fighting the fire. If it's a flood, this is the group that is down helping people get out of the flood. They're the operations portion. The next one is planning. Planning is the group that collects information about what's going on. If a fire's going this way, the weather's going this way, they collect that information, and then they develop what's called an incident action plan or an IAP. And with the incident action plan, they're informing our operations and their incident commander about this is what is going on. They also track whatever resources are being used on this entire scene. The next is logistics. Logistics is your service and support. Interesting enough, the way that you remember logistics is, according to the national model and according to a lot of incident commanders, they would use the LDS Church, and they have used them quite a bit in the serve and support function. We like to serve, we like to support. They would usually go into a situation underneath the logistics. Logistics, they do service and support. So they're the ones that want to find people. They'll maintain those people on the scene, enough people on those scenes to get the things done. They maintain equipment, and they also any of the supplies or basic needs that you need. Food, shelter, toilets, water. All those things are done through the logistics. And the last one is finance or administration. Finance and administration takes care of the money, the contracts, the costs, and the time logs and things like that. So, any incident will have these basic things. Okay, public information officer, liaison officer, safety officer, and the incident commander. The incident commander, he has authority and responsibility and accountability for all those positions. If he cannot fill one of these positions, the incident commander thereby takes over that position. If he doesn't fill the finance, the incident commander is the person that's over the finance. So this is all very in-depth here. What we'll do is we'll erase it. Now, the operations has to have its own organization. So let's say we're running an ops here. And the ops has the whole thing built up. Operations has its different levels also. It has branches. Underneath these branches, if it's big enough, they can have branches. You can have divisions or groups. In these divisions, you'll have strike teams or task forces. There's also another thing called a unit, but the units are usually not or never in the operations. And then you have your single resources or single people. So quickly, now to break this down, so that we can understand it better in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're going to do a chili cook-off. And the chili cook-off is going to have the incident command system in it. Here we're going to go right here. So for the chili cook-off, our incident commander is going to be Bishop Alpha. Now, Bishop Alpha is in charge. He has certain objectives. What he wants is he wants the best chili cook-off that we've had so far. He wants everybody happy, and he would like to bring some investigators in there. So, what does Bishop Alpha say? Bishop Alpha tells the PIO, I want you to put in the bulletin and through an email chain to everybody in the ward that we're having the chili cook-off. That's how he uses his PIO. His liaison is, I would like you to check with the other wards and see if they want to be part of it. So his liaison, somebody goes to a different ward. Safety officer, the bishop says, I don't want very hot chili because we have some people in this ward that will get a stomach ache if they eat too hot of a chili. Right? Okay. So, the bishop just then says, all right, Elders Quorum, I want you in charge of operations. On the night of our chili cook-off, you're going to be in charge of making sure everything's cooked, feeding people, cleaning up, doing all these things. All right? So he puts the Elders Quorum in charge of ops. He then asks the high priest, High priest, I want you to plan. These are the things that I need you to do. I'd like you to find out how many people are going to come, what kind of food they want, what other things are going to be going on that day, and I want you to tell me. I need you to help me develop this incident action plan so that I can do this chili cook-off. Logistics. Logistics is going to put the Relief Society in charge of logistics. So Relief Society is going to get plates. They're going to get the food that needs to be cooked. They're going to get the people to cook the food. They're going to get the facility. We're going to need a church or the gym. And then finance. Going to get the financial clerk or the ward clerk. And he's going to tell us, this is how much money we have to spend, and this is what we need to do. Now, depending on what the information is that he gets here, then he can do some more operations. So finance will tell him, Bishop, we have $250 in the budget for the chili cook-off. Bishop goes, okay, $250. He can then tell logistics, we got $250, so watch out, don't buy the real expensive plates, don't buy so much food. Planning then just comes back, and the high priest say, well, we found out we're going to have 300 people that are going to show up to this chili cook-off. They tell logistics goes, okay, we need 300 plates, we need 300 cups, we need a facility that will hold 300 people. So all this is going back and forth to the incident commander, who disseminates that information to everybody else. Now, on the night of the chili cook-off, then all your resources will go over into this operations. The Elders Quorum will come in, they'll set up the tables, they'll cook the chili, they'll make the setup for everything, and should go off without these. The problem is that sometime during this whole setup, we found out that people not only want chili, but now we found out that not only do they want chili, but they want cornbread. So to make a branch, we're going to have the chili branch and the cornbread branch. In that branch, if you have a strike team, the way to remember strike team is strike-like, so it's going to be 5 of the same